What if Ruby was transported to My Hero? As we start, as Ruby was falling from Volume 8, as she had fallen into the abyss, which teleported her to My Hero on top of an air conditioning unit. As she starts to wake up, as the air from the air conditioning unit starts to blow in her face, causing her hair to flap, as she's like, oh, as her eyes start to twitch open, oh, where am I? As she feels the breeze of the air conditioning unit as it's quite warm. As she looks around, she knows she's on top of a building. As she gets up and goes to a railing, as she notices a fire off into the distance. This is where she would use her semblance, as she would just seemingly go above and on top of a rooftop. As she would turn into rose petals and all that. As the rose petals would fly down the street, some people would see them, notice them, but it was too chaos because of the panic of the fire. As she had run to the edge of that top of the building she was on to see the fire and see people in strange costumes and civilians looking at, as this was no fire. It was a hero versus villain fight. Some villain has caused chaos, as the heroes are doing their best to contain this villain with a destructive, explosive quark. His head is literally a bomb, as everything he touches explodes. As the man is causing chaos through the city, as Ruby notices this, as she prepares Crescent Rose, she aims at the person. Again, she has no idea who these people are, where she is. She assumes this person is most likely a Grimm. But just to make sure, because she has no idea where she's at, but sees strange people, she loads the electric dust. As she fires her sniper rifle, which hits the guy dead center chest, causing him to electrocute before sending him into a building, before debris falls on the guy, knocking him out. Also, the guy was about to self-destruct, by the way, the fuse was going down his head. She stopped that. As she knows the heroes are, arresting him. As she is still very confused. Where am I? How did I get here? And why did that person have a bomb as a head? As she's currently evaluating her surroundings. She has no idea what's happening. As then suddenly, 2 more fires would appear around the city. Now, Ruby, being a huntress, started to go towards them. As she would use her semblance to go around the buildings, move at top speeds, very fast, as I would say Ruby is as fast as probably Ingenium. As she got to this next fire, as all it was just a simple fire, just a fire. So she made her way to the third site. This site had a group of villains causing chaos. Now, the heroes are currently in 3 different places. First, putting out the fire in the first incident, and putting out the fire in the second incident. Now, these guys are robbing some big stores in the area. As Ruby jumps down in front of them, as one of the guys scoffs, "So, a little girl trying to play hero. Why don't you turn around and go home?" As Ruby then would use Crescent Rose before basically cutting the man's hand, before hitting him in the stomach, sending him flying back. As one of the guys that had like a seemingly big and looked kind of like a pufferfish, throws his hand, which has spikes on it, towards Ruby, as she would swing Crescent Rose, the back of the scythe hilt would hit the guy's hand, redirecting it into the pavement. As Ruby would swing her scythe, cutting the man in the stomach, sending him flying back. As the 2 other guys run up, one holding a knife, and the other just transforming his hand into, a blunt object, like a bat. As they both swing at Ruby, as she just shoots her weapon before swinging it, hitting both of the villains with the back side of the scythe, sending them flying into the store. As she goes over to the storekeep and apologizes. "Sorry for breaking your window." As the guy is just happy that he's not robbed. "Thank you, young miss." As they'd shake hands before Ruby would know a siren says, I probably should get out of here. As she would just turn to Rose Petals and just flee the scene of the crime. As the police would evacuate. As a few detectives are on scene and all that, they're arresting the villain group. Just some low thugs that thought they could rob a few stores to make some good bucks. As the guy goes to ask the store owner, excuse me, could you tell me who stopped these people? Some girl, about teenage year. She was helping and she, well, basically stopped me from getting robbed. She returned the items that they stole and the money, and took down these four single-handedly. Thank you. Could you tell me what she looked like, or what her quirk was? Well, she turned into Rose Petals, and she had a weapon, like a scythe. As the detective is writing all this down. Wait, like a scythe, you say? Yes. But when she fled, she turned into Rose Petals. As now, them just assuming her quirk was roses. So the guy wrote down quirk, roses. They got no detail on Ruby. And there was no security cameras, so they never caught her. As Ruby is currently roaming the city, and she decided to put her scarf and wrap it around herself, and hide Crescent Rose. As she has no idea where she is, as it doesn't seem like the world of Ruby. As she knows people have strange heads, strange quirks. She doesn't know their quirks, but still, strange features. As she would walk around before bumping into somebody. As she would apologize, sorry. As the man's like, oh, it's alright, miss. Could you tell me where I am? You're just in this city. And then, could you tell me what that is? As she points at a guy with like a wooden head quirk. Oh, that's a quirk. As she would ask, a quirk? Yes, everyone has them. In fact, mine is, as he just shoots some water from his hands, a water quirk. I can shoot some water out of his hands. Oh, well, thank you. As she laughs before leaving, quirks, where am I? As she would start wandering around. But apparently, she wasn't the only one that came to this world. As someone is on a building just seemingly watching her. Found you. As he just vanishes from sight. As we go back to Ruby, who's roaming the streets, looking for, well, anything that can give her any information. As she doesn't want to really ask people because she is way too close to the crime scene, that where the detectives are. And Ruby can be smart, and she will obey the law, of course. But her not knowing the laws of this world, she is very confused. And the first thing on her mind is to find her team, Yang, Blake, and Weiss. They don't know if they made it to this world either. As she starts going around asking if they've seen, well, Blake, Yang, or Weiss. No one has fit the description. People try to answer her question. Now, as she's roaming around, one of the people that got the description noticed her in a street. As the guy runs over to try to question her, as Ruby knows the police officer, she starts to book it out of there. Because what she did, she doesn't know, is illegal. She doesn't know this person, so she starts running. As the person follows her, as someone from a rooftop noticed this, as he starts to follow them, as Ruby just simply uses her quirk after turning a corner and gets onto a rooftop. And then she would notice someone had threw a scarf towards her, as she ducked, nearly dodging it. Impressive. As she would turn around, you're just a kid. What are you doing out here? As Ruby looks at, who are you? As she grabs Crescent Rose before, well, turning it into a scythe, as Aizawa is shocked. Easy, we don't have to fight, kid. Where am I exactly? You're in such a city, as he explains again. I need you to come in with me. You currently used your quirk, and that's illegal. Quirk? As, again, Ruby doesn't understand the quirks. As she tilts her head, I have no idea what you're talking about. As this causes Aizawa by surprise. Quirks, everyone has one. I have talked to people. I have no idea what these quirks are. As she points Crescent Rose at, well, Aizawa. Listen, I will explain. Just put your weapon away. As he has his eyes red to, disable her quirk. But Ruby's semblance is not a quirk. As, well, this ends up turning into a fight. As Ruby attempts to get away by, jumping. As Aizawa threw a scarf as she swings Crescent Rose, but surprisingly, it doesn't break the fabric. Although it does leave a scratch mark. As she just gets, pulled back onto the rooftop. As she would shoot Crescent Rose, spinning it to get enough momentum to actually cut the rope that Aizawa uses for his scarf. As she prepares to fight, as Aizawa goes in for hand-to-hand combat, as Ruby swings her scythe, as Aizawa is nearly evading it, as Ruby is swinging it at high speeds where Aizawa can barely keep up. As she then just drops Crescent Rose in her other hand before socking Aizawa in the face. Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, I'm a hero. As she hears the word hero. Hero? Like a hunter? As this confuses Aizawa. As he decides to play along. Yes, a hunter. As she then lowers her scythe. My apologies. I'm simply looking for my friends. I woke up here. As this causes Aizawa to, glare a little as he's confused. Woke up? Yes, I woke up a couple blocks back. I'm currently trying to figure out where I am. Last I remember, I was at Atlas. As Aizawa hears that, Atlas? There's not a place around here named Atlas. As he says, then where am I? As she's about to answer or reveal some more information, she then falls unconscious as some gas had approached the area. Thanks for your help, Midnight. As Midnight just appeared, no problem. I thought you could use some assistance. And that is the end of part 1 of What If Ruby Was Transported to My Hero. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. Now to part 2.